And what we're going to talk about is putting together for success against COVID-19. And pretty much each of you recognizes what this image represents. And we'll call it perhaps the true disruptor of our society. And when it came along, it's kind of changed the rules of the road. And to put it in perspective, that what we need to do, I think, to accommodate or to overcome it is to first recognize that because of COVID-19, that there'll be a new normal, pretty much from everybody I've heard or read about. And this is, I think, a critical distinction, because I hear a lot of people saying, well, when things get back to normal, then we can get back to what we need to do. Or when will things get back to normal? And I think the experts tend to say it's going to be a different world around us. And so the opportunity we have is to recognize that first off, and then take advantage for our both business and personal lives. Now, I'm not going to talk about personal lifestyle because that's a whole different topic. But what I am going to share with you today is recognizing that there will be a new normal created by COVID-19, put it in perspective of what humans are like as a species and why it's important to recognize that. And then the value of putting together with some examples. And I'm going to use a business owner particularly for that concept. And her name is Kendra Scott. I'll be back to her in a few moments. And she talks about rebooting your business, a completely fresh startup concept, because that's important. Then we're not stuck with when things get back to normal, because we really need to move ahead. There's a new mantra out. It used to be service first, maybe value first. Now safety first becomes that new catchphrase that all of us really ought to pay attention to. And then success through proactive engagement. I'm a biology major, so I love talking about stuff like this. As a species, we are collective animals, excuse the generic concept, but back in the day, if nothing else, to stay warm, we didn't have fur coats and air-conditioned environments or central heating type format. So we had to collectively pull together to survive, to protect ourselves from each other. If somebody gets injured, to carry each other together. And more importantly, to eat. Cavemen were not farmers, they were hunters, often nomadic in their style. So it's quite frankly, a two-legged human being is not going to chase down a four-legged animal to capture it, to eat it, that we needed to work together to make that happen. So by instinct, by history, by our progress, putting together. And it's obvious in today's world around us that we're familiar with. People will pull together to form food co-ops, to buy bulk purchase value of price reduction. Businesses, of course, already understand the value of putting things out in a massive scale. So even though your profit per unit is not that high, you get enough people together, you're going to make tons and tons of money collectively. It's who we are in our DNA. The unfortunate part about it is that COVID-19 has changed the rules of the road and has forced us to separate off from each other. Now, I may alluded to my caveman icon that we pull together in stress. Well, even more so now, that perhaps the greatest motivator is to pull together to help with each other. And we see that by example. We see where people will reach out the windows at a certain time of the day in a spontaneous manner and clap on behalf of the first responders. We'll see examples where people will sit and pull together to create masks for free to distribute out to the healthcare providers. We'll see it where people will provide food, either come to us or will come to you if you can't get out of the household. All these things are done that aren't normally done because of COVID-19, because we understand if we help each other, we'll survive better, we'll function better. And that really is the understanding that we want to take advantage of, make use of, to get through this COVID-19 episode. And it really attacks the concept of when things get back to normal, that it's really about the new normal and how we're going to work our business to make it happen to our advantage. And I'm going to use this particular woman. I like her style. Her name is Kendra Scott Limited. And she's an officer. I don't like reading slides normally, And I'm going to ask new attendees, if you could mute yourself, I would appreciate that. So if there's any background noise, it doesn't bump into the conversation. But this is a woman that is CEO of 108 retail outlets, and they deal with jewelry and interior decor. And it's not jewelry in the classical sense of behind a glass counter, you come look at it. It really is high-end boutique that when you come into her stores, they will lay their hands on you. They'll get a sense of who you are. They'll get a feel of your skin tone. They'll look at your complexion, your body language, your dress style, because they really want to match the jewelry to who you are, that particular person. And she said, quite frankly, that our business with shelter in place couldn't work that way anymore. And this is a woman whose company, before COVID-19, had projected through the business plan, they updated on a regular basis, a $1 billion revenue for the year. And she said, quite frankly, when we created our business plan, we didn't factor COVID-19 into the equation. And so what she tells her people, to be successful, not just to survive, but to move ahead, we have to begin to think of our business as a startup all over again. And the reason she emphasizes that, she recognizes very quickly, I guess, is that when we have a tradition, a precedent, is the tendency is to fall back on that. But when you start your own business, and pretty much everybody in this group I know has done that, you may have your business plan in place, you have your logo, your website, but you don't know the risk, your success factor. You know a lot about the competition. And so you're going to be much more keen to be creative, to be opportunistic. You don't have a tradition to slow you down, and you move ahead. And that's her premise. Now, her particular problem, immediate problem, was with those 108 outlets that people walk in the store. That's not going to happen anymore with shelter in place. So what she did was to find a computer model where somebody could send in their measurements, send in a picture of themselves. So when they sign on to the internet, we can create some virtual image that it would be your body, your measurements, and the jewelry that will sit your color, your scheme, all the things they could normally do almost as well in a remote setting. And that's just one example of what she's done. And she talks about you have to be flexible, that in terms of this reach out to her audience, that what have we not done? Not what we have not done, what do we need to do to communicate with them? And she used this distribution channel to move out her product still. And that's something that's worked well for her. And she also talks about you have to create a connection. And she tells her sales lady that we can no longer touch them physically, which is an integral part of their business, but we can touch their hearts, we can touch their minds. And the messaging here is you really want to know what your audience, your market, your clients, your prospects, what their concerns are. She talks about creating connection. So give them a phone call. You may not be able to provide them a particular service at the moment, but you might have access to resources you can otherwise provide. I was part of a networking group within the last 2 or 3 days, and was a relatively new member to the group that had a specific purpose of what he does. And there are at least 2 or 3 people in the room that says, I know somebody who could have need for your service. So let's provide resources. Let's find out what the concerns are so we can better address them. If not now, at least when they come back to market. And the critical factor here is that you're giving your audience a sense of your interest is in me beyond the immediate cash flow need. So this is a lady, again, that has a current net worth of $2 billion for her business. And when she says reaching out, one of the things that Lynn has recently as a homework assignment is talk about developing more of a social media side of or virtual side of our business. And one guy asked at one meeting, well, why? Why is that important? Well, she talks about Kendra again. You pick up the phone, you call them, you send out emails, get on FaceTime. First off, let them know that you still exist. Number 2, and I'll give it another example later on in this discussion, why becoming more visible is more important than it has been in the past. But let them know that we're here for you. We haven't forgotten about you. We appreciate your being still a part of this family. And can we do something for you that might meet your needs that may not be our immediate market, but visibility, viability, and value in terms of what you can provide for your audience. So for those of us who may not have much experience in social media and virtual presentation, certainly COVID-19 and the new normal coming has been a stimulant, to put it mildly, to move us in that direction. And the other point that Kendra makes is to say, let's learn from every crisis. No, we didn't wish this upon ourselves. We wish it would go away sooner than it has so far. But on the other hand, let's see it as an opportunity. I read recently that the most creative times in human society occurs during chaos. And the reason that happens is because people are forced to react differently to their environment. Those who choose to move ahead, I'll be blunt about that. And that's when things accelerate. So look at this, as best I can say, as an opportunity. And she provides some spiritual value in her statements also as part of what she's doing. So the key is, her prime mantra to her audience is, the customer is boss. And if you don't know what the boss wants, we're not going to be able to well address their concerns and their needs. Again, be adaptive, think like a startup, and engage, to be visible, supportive, adaptive, creative. And the new mantra, which she didn't particularly express herself, but I've put into there, it used to be, we provide the best quality product. We provide the best value for your money. I think the new mantra is safety first and then service. There's a recent study that I'm sharing with you that one company, by doing a survey, found out in the retail business in particular, that many, up to 62% of people will not continue to shop at your business if they feel you're not making sincere effort to put their safety as a first priority. And even up to 24% plus or minus might even pay more money. That's a minority of people, but at least they're putting the money where their mouth is. If they see that you're providing a safety first philosophy that might add to the price of the product, they'd still come to you perhaps as a preference over the competition. And it's not enough to just talk about what you're doing. There's a lot of, in some of the networking groups I belong to, virtual, there are companies that will come in and sanitize and sterilize and everything else. It's not enough to just do it. You have to let your audience know that you're doing it. So again, we're back to the virtual presentation again, that if you are a business, I actually seen commercials that will write down our business items, that we will sterilize our product on a regular basis. New York, how many times do you see advertisement where they have guys going and ladies going in there wiping down stairs and turnstiles, as though that's going to make any real difference 3 minutes later? But at least they understand the conceptual side of it, that we're doing the best we can to make your world safe. And if you don't know we're doing it, it has no marketing value. So for those of us who are regulars of Lynn Rowe, a program for the new members also, her new upcoming assignments is to become more familiar with virtual presentation, and let's put it to use for ourselves. Now, if you go into somebody's home, maybe you're a massage therapist, maybe you are a yoga instructor. Well, you want to be like a cat burglar, going into a place and not leaving any sign that you were ever there. And it may be you walk in with your mask in hand. If your client doesn't have a mask, you provide it for them. You make it a deliberate effort to write things down as you're coming in and as you're walking out. And again, your own business, make sure it's up on your website. Make sure it's up on your Facebook site if you don't have a website, and make sure you put it out there in terms of how we are working to make your life better because of COVID, despite COVID-19 being part of the package. And again, it's about under stress. People are much, much more inclined to pull together in a stressful moment than a routine moment. And a program like this, and my hat off to Lynn to think about putting us together in terms of trying not to just to cope and getting caught in the stasis of that, but to move ahead. and let's take advantage of it. And let's learn the new skills we have to learn with the assumption that the old normal is no longer as passe, to put it bluntly. And because of our putting together, we can create solutions for ourselves. And it's really not a matter of being nice people, good people, even instinctive, but in putting together, engaging with each other, we'll be stronger for each other. And so Madeline, Maddie, thank you again for that. That I can remember. I asked, well, Joe, what do you do? And I don't plug, my purpose is not to plug myself, but I do believe firmly the more we engage with each other and learn from each other, the more we can be of value for each other. And that's the end of my discussion. Now, let me walk out of this and we can see if there's any questions or comments after that. Any opinions, thoughts, good, bad, or indifferent? Any questions at this point? Yes, Debbie, please.
I thought that was very good. You were quick and to the point, and it flowed very nicely. Good job. Thanks.
I appreciate that. Does it stimulate any questions, comments, opinions, good, bad, or indifferent? Maddie? You have to unmute. Go ahead.
Joseph, Joseph, I know you just from knowing you twice a day, you know, for the last week. I feel like I know you forever, exponential
I agree with
learning.
that, sure.
And I knew you with this wise soul, and I knew you were a biology major, but what I didn't know was, well, I should have known, but I didn't think about it, was your instinct, your history, and your progress as an individual, which attracts this information and reminds us of what I call beginner's mind.
Okay, thank you.
You know, so beginner's mind, always having, people are always asking me, my doctor asked me, what's your secret sauce? Mm-hmm. Why do you keep getting younger every time you come here?
Right.
And I really believe my secret sauce is, I'm blessed, you know, yes, please God, I shouldn't get blindsided with anything, cancel. Right. But beginner's mind, I think like a 20-year-old. Mm-hmm. Starting over every day. Like, what would I be doing if I was 20 years old and wanting to reach the pinnacle of my life, not my success, my life.
Right.
And that's what that's what you're talking about here. And it's so brilliant and so relevant, and you're so communicative, and thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Liz, I saw you flagging your hands. Would you like to make a comment?
I was just cheering Madeline on about having a young spirit and a beginner's mind, because I think, like, just to always follow curiosity, you know, follow your curiosity. You're never going to.
Fair enough. Liz, are you new to us? And are we new to you? Is this your first visit?
Living. That's one of the things.
Oh, very nice.
I was here once before.
Well, welcome. If I don't, I have poor recall at times. So if I've seen you once before, I apologize for not recognizing you, but thank you for visiting us, and we do hope you come back.
No worries at all. You spoke very well. You have a very nice, you articulate so well. You speak gently, but still firmly. So I really enjoyed your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to make a plug. Understand, I'm the product of Liz, or Linda. I'm sure to say that. So please come back and get more of this similar type of experience here. Anybody else that would like to say anything? Yes, Diane, and then Bruce after.
I was just going to say, I love the fact that you visited this jewelry store, and just the whole idea of everybody said about your youthfulness and the way that you present, but it's going back to that startup mentality, you know, for our businesses. When you're starting up, you're just shooting, it's a total brainstorm and a brain dump, and you're looking at all the angles and you're asking people for opportunities that you might have overlooked. So if we actually just kind of pulled back a little bit for each of our businesses and really came away with that new startup mentality, it's what have we been leaving on the table? What is it that we just didn't think we could do, but now is the time to do it. Now is the perfect time to get things lined up, strategically lined up, and attack it and go for it.
Diane just said in 30 seconds what it took me 10 minutes to say. Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that. You nailed that right on target. Bruce, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is we got to have a startup mentality, but at the same time, we still got to use our expertise So we're a little bit ahead of the game, and the main goal is to be adaptive and to roll with the time, and not to take a challenge as a setback, but as a new opportunity.
Sounds good. Well, I did, any other questions or comments at all? If
I'm just
not,
gonna
I,
say
please.
one more thing that I was just gonna say, that I'm like not trying not to think of this as a new normal, but as a new better. So what
Okay.
is, like a new better? That's
Right.
all. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. If I do another presentation, I'll call you first to get opinion. Rephrase that. Because you're the newest kid on the block, and I'll say it like that. What do you do? Could you introduce yourself, and then we'll move on.
Sure. My name is Liz Gabor, as you guys see. I'm a success coach, and I also teach yoga and meditation. And I really help people who are in different transitions, as we all are right now, but also really trying to help them go from whatever normal or whatever it is that they're in, as far as maybe they're getting a divorce, or they're wanting to change careers, or they're thinking of just making a change. And I know that I was there 5 years ago. I was stuck and I wasn't sure where I wanted to be. And I went through a proven success system that works, and it worked for me. And now I'm living like a passion-filled life. And I like to take people from where they are to where they want to be.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction. I did, unless there's anything else, I did promise Lynn that I would be off in 25 minutes, and we're kind of at that point. I did promise you also no homework. So enjoy yourself, be productive, and we'll see you. And please come back, Liz. And Denise, you're fairly young to us, and Amy, you're fairly young to us also. We hope to see you guys again, because you really give a lot of good input to our audience. And Debbie, good to see you again also. So long, bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. You did great, Jeff. Bye-bye.
Bye. Great job, Joe. Thank